Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Arts. My name is Jules.
And I'm Marcy.
And today we have a very special guest that at least some of you who have listened before Ursi and Marcy had been on the show would know, which is Dewey, my previous co-host.
Also ending in E, so we're continuing the E's.
Oh, the Julesy? Okay,
Julesy. You have to be Julesy today
yes.
because we've got Dewey.
That's the only reason they asked me to be here was to make that happen.
Yeah.
We needed the three E's.
It has come to pass.
It opens the portal when you have all three E's.
There's the light at the end of that. So before we get into catching up with Dewey a little bit, definitely want to shout out a couple things that are going on. I have a Nessendorma Opera and Pasta next week. Next week? Wait, no. Yes, okay, next week. Next week, Wednesday, at 7:30 with Kai at the keys. Then Josh will be taking over the one on September 9th because I will be in Pagliacci rehearsals. But on the 5th of September, there will be a similar sort of thing like the Opera and Pasta out in Whitewater at Fanatico. It is off the main stretch in Whitewater. That will be at 6:30. So similar setup, just a different place and in Whitewater.
And still pasta. So it's
it's still Italian.
Still pasta.
Italian
still opera and pasta.
Influence, yes. And then I know there's other things going on, but very important is Pagliacci. That is going to be September 18th through the 20th at Inspiration Studios. Go to Brew City Opera. If you Google them, you should be able to get to where they have tickets. I will be singing Neda. We will be starting rehearsals in a week.
Just over a week.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's coming up fast.
Whew. Okay. Yeah, that's all I can think of to shout out on my end. I know you have a couple things you want to shout out.
Yeah, so I opened Disaster, and I'm in my second week. So actually, that's why I look so crazy right now. My hair is in my wig prep.
She does not look crazy.
And I have a ton of makeup on because I'll be heading right from here to the show tonight.
Woo-hoo.
But I'm in my second week of that. That's been really, really fun. Audiences have loved it. So definitely come check it out. We do run through the 30th. So that's super fun. And again, it's a parody of all the 70s disaster movies. So it's an over-the-top campy musical. It's all 70s music as well, so super fun. From an intimacy director standpoint, I'm getting started with Jules as their intimacy and fight director on her opera coming up.
Yay.
But Frozen has a couple more weeks out at the Fireside, so definitely go check that out. And then we will be putting Come From Away on the stage. So that's at Fireside.
Yes.
So that's really, really exciting. And then also as the resident intimacy director, Gypsy rehearsals start for Skylight. Just everything's rolling.
Just a few things.
Just a few things. So, and then we've got the kooky, ooky, and spooky Addams Family at Bombshell once Disaster closes. So just, at end of summer, really, all the theaters start their new seasons and we get rolling again. But definitely come and check out Disaster before, don't miss the boat. Takes place on a floating casino. So
it looks like a couple explosives too.
It is every disaster trope that happened in those movies rolled into one musical, but it is very recognizably a spoof of the Poseidon Adventure. So definitely a lot of fun. And we do have a shout out. We have an understudy going on tonight. So Ashley Levels will be going on in the role of Lisa and Ben. So if you want to know what that's all about, come to the show tonight. Come check her out and give her some love. So.
And I do believe that you said that tickets are selling pretty fast. So definitely get your tickets.
They are. We've got some nights that are sold out and some with 2 or fewer tickets. So tonight is a night with some availability. If you don't have plans, come on out to Brookfield, Wisconsin. Check out the show.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's all I got. just a few small
Just
things.
a few little things. Well, Dewey, it's been how many months?
A few.
Just like 3 or 4?
Yeah, a handful.
I'm not counting because I can't think about how much I've missed you. But no, I mean it's really cool to hear what you're doing and just being able to have the time to devote to the things that are in Sheboygan. And I know how much you love work, but also with you getting married next month.
Yes,
it's extremely exciting. So shout out to Alex and Dewey for their wedding in September. Yeah, I mean, you had a good idea of what you wanted to talk about today. So do you want to kind of propose to us again what you thought?
Yeah. So I might have mentioned while I was on the air that I am the assistant or associate director. No one has made it clear to me which one it is, of the Sheboygan Pops concert band, which is a band in Sheboygan that has a history that ties back to the municipal band that was there many, many years ago. And they were marching at some point, but in recent history, they kind of became more of a concert band. And they do summer concerts outside, and then 3 concerts for like Halloween, spring, and the holidays inside. So yeah, I became associate director. I started out just kind of being what they were trying out this thing called community member at large, where they had someone on the board to kind of like advise like the community impression of the band. And so I started out on the board of the Pops band, and then in passing, the president was all like, hey, do you play percussion? And I was like, oh, no, I took percussion methods class at some point. So, yeah, I could play percussion, and joined just on bass drum, really. And that converted me from community member at large to band member at large. And then I was in the board meeting, and I had kind of just casually been like, I noticed your assistant director position's vacant. So, if you ever want one, I've directed a thing or two in my life. And eventually the director was kind enough to offer me that position. So
Nice.
I was able to work my way from community member at large to associate director.
Wow.
And it's been interesting.
Good work.
Thank you. I really weasel my way into things.
Hey, that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it. Way to take charge.
But I mean, it's not my first directing position, and it's interesting because it's my first one working with a band, and it's my first one working with like a volunteer community organization. And so that's kind of introduced me to the different dynamics that happen with a volunteer group like that. So,
And how big is your musical ensemble? How many volunteers do you have in the Sheboygan Pops?
I'd say at its peak, it's probably 60
Okay,
people.
that's
pretty
that's a nice size.
Yeah, it like all the parts get covered.
Yeah. Gosh, when do you get to listen to a orchestra or a band that large with all those different instruments and pieces? It just that's
Especially
a
community, yeah.
Yeah.
that's really a rare treat.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's something that I don't think should be taken for granted because it's easy for things to get in the way of that. And one of the things that like is an interesting question to ask is like what motivates people to be there, and that's a very different answer compared to other productions of music. Because one of the easiest ways to motivate people, one of the universal incentives, is money, right? You're just like, hey, I will pay you to perform here, and they will show up. But
Ta-da.
it's a volunteer group, and so that question becomes a lot more diverse, especially because the ensembles age, I think people in their range between like 14 or 16 to like 85,
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so some are there because they just love music. Some are former or current teachers and probably just want somewhere to perform. And some probably were dragged there by their friends and were just like, I guess I'll come by. I played clarinet at some point. And some have been there since it was more of a marching band. And so they kind of have more of a traditional idea of what Pops band is, which is like Sousa marches and stuff like that, which we still play Sousa marches. And then others are kind of coming from the more contemporary standpoint, where if you've heard concert band music that's being written, it's being written by living composers, and it's a medium where the majority of the music you hear is living composers. And for concert music, that's actually really rare to have the majority of the music written by living composers. So as those things get explored, it's kind of contested as to how much tradition do we do and how much do we like cater to these new things.
Well, and it sounds like Sheboygan has quite the budget then to be able to have the permission to do things that are living composers, because sometimes it's like the public domain versus otherwise. I don't know if that's something that's normal or.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to budget for buying scores. As for like royalties and stuff, that's on the venue to sort out. So luckily, that's not necessarily our issue. But yeah, I mean, it's not free to put on music, and that's something I'm very aware of as a board member.
Yeah. Now, is it free to the community?
Yes.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like folks can come out and they get a free concert essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Free live music and 60 pieces. Wow.
Yeah.
60 musicians.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that is kind of the appeal, is like bringing music to the community. That's one of the like foundational goals of the band, and that's what we like write grant applications around, is bringing music to the community and to young musicians and like inspiring them.
And you said it's outdoor in the summer?
Yeah.
So do people bring a picnic? Do they bring? Yeah. People bring food and drink.
I mean, is it at the same place that we all met up last summer?
No, that's the Green in Sheboygan, which has the stage is like a spaceship looking thing. It's wild. This is the band shell, which is in a different park.
Okay.
And, I mean,
I would think there's still a lot of picnicking.
Yeah, I'm too busy performing, but I'm sure people are eating music, or eating food as we eating music. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of make it what you want, and
so it's like tailgating, but for music. And if you know Dan Schley, they do and his group of his wife and many of his other theater friends, when they come see a musical or a play, they'll get a group of people together and they'll do what's called playgating, and they'll have sort of like a tailgate with food and beverages and drinks and stuff out of the trunk of a car.
Oh my goodness.
So there's playgating. We got to figure out what the music band gating.
Sure.
So yeah, we need to start it. We'll head up to Sheboygan.
We're gonna make some T-shirts first.
Yeah, and
do band gating and then more playgating.
yeah, band gating. I like it. You heard it here first on River West Radio.
I did see Shakespeare at the park, and that was like a good picnic opportunity.
Yes.
Except they actually couldn't do it outside because there's too much smoke. But that was a different issue.
Yeah. Anyway, I derailed you.
No. I'll bring band gating back as a marketing term for us.
Bring it back to the board. Bring it back to the board.
I can just see like a month from now, like Fox 6 goes and reports on.
Everyone coming early and band gating.
Dewey, a board member.
So something you said that was interesting. So what motivates people to come and do it for free, right? Because my equivalency, right, as a theater performer would be like, what motivates people to do community theater? Because that's non-paid as well. And there are folks that perform, play in the pit orchestras for community theaters, are working behind the scenes, backstage, that's all volunteer work. So I think I don't want to get too academic, but there's a sociology theory related to spaces, right? Your first, second, and third space, and this would relate to third space, right? Yeah. Like, so first space is home, so the spaces really sort of center on where do you form an identity, right? Where are your main identities? And you've got a work identity, a home identity, but then everyone has a third space, a chosen space that they use to fulfill their passion, to be their authentic selves, to express themselves. So, I mean, as a performer, right? I mean, I don't play an instrument. I mean, I do cello poorly. But, it's sort of like that artistic expression. That's your third space. That's where you get to go and be you, and you're not worrying about the stresses of work or home, and you get to live and perform. So I would liken it to that. Otherwise, I do know for actors, right, Jules, food is a powerful motivator. Yes. If you feed an actor, it's like gremlins. Don't feed them after midnight. But yeah.
Well, I was thinking, so like my previous directing experiences are like I would have to organize my ensembles in school to perform my music because there was no formed ensemble. And that was kind of just like out of the goodness of their heart. They didn't get academic credits. So the primary motivation was, do you want to experience reading a new piece? And
In that
then
case, they appreciated exposure. But
yeah,
that's not very often.
well, exposure to the music was kind of more
Yes.
the argument. There was
Yes.
probably like 15 people in the audience.
Yes.
So, but that was also food, you know, because they were college students, and free food works for college
Free food.
students.
It does.
Yes.
And then later on, like as I got through school and the question of like, what are people going to be doing? How are they going to make their careers became more prevalent? I was like, I don't really feel great about asking people to do this for free. And so when I started formulating the idea of doing an opera as the first opera before Night of the Living Opera, I was like, I'm going to crowdfund this to make sure people are paid for it. And then I got to experience paying people for music, which wasn't a lot of money, but it was money. And that as like a central motivator, I helped ensure consistency, but also when the production gets difficult, that's when you start to see the strain as to what people, why people are there, you know? Like, if we threw a hard piece at the band at some point, the question becomes like, should we continue forward with this, or should we relent and do easier music? That's not an act. That's a hypothetical. I've never had a situation like that with the band. But like it came to a point with the opera, like, hey, is this actually going to be memorized? And I was all like, well, that's what the crowdfunders funded, so that's what I'm going to push for. And that's like not like, it's definitely a questionable form of leverage. If you think of it as leverage, that's really toxic and really negative. But it
can be a motivator.
It
though.
can be a motivator. And so it's just a question of it, like, hopefully you don't have to bring that up. So that isn't a third space though. That's like purely, that's work. That's your second space, right?
Yeah, that's another. That's a second space.
Yeah. So it definitely has a different dynamic, and I think that's actually really, you've pinpointed the primary difference here, is that like people are there. The thing that brought them there was music, but the thing that keeps them there is the community. And
Which is such a beautiful thing, really.
yeah.
I mean, I think the word community theater is one of the most beautiful phrases that you could utter. The fact that you're there for the love of. That's what amateur is in Latin, for the love of. It's not a negative term.
Yeah.
So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think so too. And functioning that way as a director kind of puts you in a different mindset, because you know, as I was learning conducting, I was kind of like, how do you squeeze every ounce out of the ensemble? How do you get all the artistry out of it? And if you're conducting and there's a musician that's like just like struggling with a part, you know, like, you should never shame them, you know? And so like it's kind of like, they're here for the love of it. They're here for the community. We should push to get the best artistry we can out of them. But I'm not going to be like yelling. I would never yell at a trombonist. But it's about towing that line, though, and
making sure everyone's having fun, right? Because that's what they're there to do. They love the music. They love playing. They're there to have fun. I imagine that's also a balance, right? Like, some performers really want to be challenged, but at some point, if it gets too difficult, then it's not fun.
Yeah. And that relates back to the different reasons why people are there. If they're there to be challenged, then they're happy to be pushed. But some people are just there to like play through some music, and then you spend 10 minutes working on 8 measures, they're going to just completely check out. So you gotta make sure that you tend to all the
and
desires.
that's a big group of people. You've got a lot of different styles in there.
Very diverse. Yeah.
Well, and I remember that's making me think of a specific situation. When I was in my undergrad, I would sit in and listen to the jazz ensemble for 2 years, like almost every single rehearsal. And like when it got too hard and when the director was more focused on getting it right versus having them have fun, people dropped out. Versus, I mean, they were taking it for credit, but they could choose whether they were going to continue with the credit or not. So it's still that choice situation where then the person who came in after, like the other person was giving them more of a challenge, and some people, like you said, appreciate that. But when the next person came in, he challenged but also made it enjoyable and said, well, that sucked, but let's try it this way. okay,
Yeah.
that's much better. So like that seems like that's kind of the line where like making sure that it's still quality music for the community, but also having them have fun, like figuring out how to toe that line as well, of like how do I get this to a point where it sounds pretty decently professional, but at the same time we understand that it could be quote unquote amateur
Yeah.
for the community. But have you found that that has been kind of a line that you've had to toe that much, or not too much?
Not actively, and it's not necessarily the question at the forefront of my mind, but it's kind of a vibe, you know,
Yeah.
of like I'm up at the podium and
Yeah.
like at what kind of response am I getting from the ensemble, and like I tried to go more towards the fun end where I was all like, I'm going to tell you a fun random fact, and the expression on most of the musicians' face was just like, can we just like
Can we
get
just do
going?
it?
So I was like, okay, that's not the vibe, you know, and it's kind of sussing that out for sure.
I wonder, with such a diverse age range in your ensemble, do you see opportunities where some of the older or more experienced members kind of take on a mentorship role for some of the younger folks? I wonder if that happens.
Kind of in very specific ways. I think the thing that maybe dilutes that dynamic is the massive shift in the genre of concert music, concert band music, and in that some musicians are used to playing like the marches and stuff like that, and we have a younger director who's coming in with we played like a video games live arrangement, and he was like super psyched to play Sephiroth, One Winged Angel from Final Fantasy VII, and some people that really connects to, and the looks on your faces means it probably wouldn't have connected to you.
I do know what it is. I've got some friends that play video games, so but that's not one that I really have a lot of experience with, but I know it's very popular. But I was waiting for you to say one that I knew. I was like,
I was gonna say like the Mario stuff, that but I want to back up for a second because some people who are listening may not know what we're talking about when we say a march. Although once you hear it, you're like, oh, okay. So the so
that one we have to play a lot in the summer. So
yes, I'm sure.
well, 4th of July, right? It's sort of
we play a Memorial Day concert. We play in July, so it's basically every concert has a Sousa March. Basically.
So then otherwise when we're talking about video game stuff, it's more epic sounding almost all the time. I'm not saying that the march isn't epic, but there's this like epic genre, I think, to a lot of the video game stuff.
And the year written kind of, I think, speaks to it, where like the marches we play were written like 1908, and then the video game music was written in the 1990s, 2000s, and stuff like that. So it makes a huge difference for sure.
Well, that's become more and more popular even with the Milwaukee Symphony, as they do concert events where it's the symphony is playing music from a movie score. So am I saying that right? I'm not a music. Am I saying that right?
And actually, this is a slight tangent, but it has to do with kind of what you're getting to. I saw just yesterday that Paul Wall, like white rap artist from like 90s, 2000s, he's still active right now, but he collaborated with, I think it was San Angelo Symphony in Texas, like doing his stuff with the orchestra. I was like, holy
Dolly
crap.
Parton is doing that too now. So
it's
she's
so cool.
She's taking her music and it's being all done with symphony.
I think
I don't know.
An interesting politics in that is that I'm curious about the audience overlap, the donor overlap,
Yes.
but then also I don't know how Milwaukee Symphony is, and I can't speak to the numbers here, but a lot of the time the core members bow out for the Pops concerts, and they bring in what's the word? Yeah, they sub in, and that's a situation where like a musician has a lot of power to be able to decide what kind of music they get to play, and so it's once again, as you get to different contexts, it's like I can't afford to have half the clarinet section just decide, you know what, I kind of hate this music and leave.
Right.
And I mean, they're being like the ensemble's being extremely flexible in the kind of music they want to play, but you still have to ask the question, what do they enjoy
Sure.
playing?
Once again, we go back to if these are volunteer musicians and they are coming here and it takes time at home to work and learn their music, and of course there's going to be rehearsals before your concert.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of time that goes into it.
Yeah.
And goes back to the whole, you want to make sure that they're having a good time and being able to feel enriched and do the things that they want to do.
I think actually though, this did give me a thought where I was mentioning before how when money was involved, it was an interesting motivator. But it's also interesting that if you do look at the highly paid musicians, how easy it is for them to bow out when they're playing music they don't want to play. And actually, when there's less money involved, it seems like just for the joy and just for supporting the ensemble, that's what's motivating them.
Yeah.
It's the community.
Yeah.
Especially a place like Sheboygan, like there's a very community-oriented vibe about it. Like it's close-knit. It's not separated. People like coming together to do things, which is really cool.
It's like the biggest city in an hour radius, so
yeah.
And one of those directions is into the water, so it's really hard to find people out there.
That's the city under the sea.
Yeah.
That's Atlantis.
That's where all the shipwrecks are.
Under the lake.
Right.
Under the lake. What?
Right. Right.
So we have just enough time that I want to ask, what do you have coming up that you want to tell us about?
The primary things are the Sheboygan Pops Concert Band. So if you are in the Sheboygan area, feel free to stop by. We play at the Farmers Market next, August 29th at 9:30 a.m. The Farmers Market's really cool, and that's a relationship we've been fostering where I've been trying to get like small groups, small ensembles made of Pops Band members to perform there. But the large ensemble's performing at 9:30, and we're actually collaborating with another ensemble in Sheboygan, Concordia Singers, who have an even longer history. I think it's like 1850 something. They're German, like
deep roots.
Deep. And then we have October 17th is the Halloween concert, and that's where TJ Lutz is the director, the primary director, not me, the higher than me. And I really think he shines at the October concerts because he picks out some really cool pieces. I know we're playing like Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunter.
Are you doing This Is Halloween?
We did that last year. I think he pulled it because we play it too much.
Okay, but K-pop Demon Hunter is being featured. That's
and Pirates of the Caribbean. It's really fun. So those are the two that come to mind. And then we'll have a holiday concert in December, of course. So if you're in the Sheboygan area, keep an ear out.
Yes.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm going to insert something before I forget because I forgot at the beginning. All In Productions is doing Red Days in September, so go look up All In Productions for that. That's not related to Dewey, but it's something I forgot to say. So let's see. What do we want to ask you real quick?
Well, I'm curious how many instruments you play. Whenever I talk to people that conduct or direct bands, they always are like, well, I play everything, but some better than others.
No, I mean, I don't actually play that much, and I'm not that great at it. I learned music on flute, and I play percussion. I've put myself in situations where I had to play piano, and I regretted it, even though I do enjoy it. But the thing I tell people, my number one instrument is composition. That's where I have the most fun.
Well, let's ask a disaster-related question. So if you had to pick a natural disaster to experience, would it be rats, sharks, volcano, shipwreck?
You have 10 seconds.
Tornado.
Tornado. Okay.
Yeah, as long as I'm not getting sucked up, it's tornado.
Okay. Well, we just had one here.
Last night.
Very timely.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Dewey, thank you so much for being here again. I am excited to have you back on. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Bye.